You think you understand what we need. You see us eating, sleeping, sometimes sitting near you, and in many cases, that feels like enough. But what if most of what we've been waiting for is something you never realized? Most people assume they've figured us out, that we're simple, independent, low maintenance, but that's not always the full story. Because from our perspective, there are things we quietly crave, things we don't ask for loudly, things we don't repeat often, things we don't force. And over time, when those things are missed, we don't complain. We don't argue. We just stop asking. And that's the part most people never notice. I am Mewy, and we don't always show what we need the way you expect. But we do wait, sometimes longer than you think. And the next part is where most people realize they've been missing something important, because what we need is not complicated. It's small, quiet, almost invisible, but in many cases, it shapes how safe we feel with you. So let's start with the first one, because this is where everything begins. 1, we often need a high place more than you realize. You see us climbing the fridge, the shelf, the top of something you thought was off limits, and your first reaction is to pull us down because it looks like bad behavior, but from an instinctive perspective, cats are wired to seek height, because height means safety, visibility, control. According to animal behavior research, cats with access to vertical space often show lower stress levels, which suggests this isn't just preference. It may be a basic emotional need. Example, think about where we go when something feels wrong. If we disappear under the bed or behind furniture, it may not mean we want to hide. It may mean we were never given a safe place to rise. And in many cases, when you give us that space, something shifts. We stop hiding and start watching. And that's often the moment your home begins to feel like ours. 2, we don't always want to be touched. Even if you mean well, you see us, you reach out, you pet us, because to you, that's affection. But that's not always how we experience it, because in many cases, touch without invitation feels different. According to behavioral studies, cats tend to form stronger bonds when they control when interaction begins, which means how you approach us matters. Example, you reach out and we flinch, turn away, or move. That moment is not rejection. It's communication, but when it keeps happening, something subtle changes. From an emotional perspective, it can feel like small withdrawals from something we're building. And over time, that distance grows. But when you pause, when you wait, when you let us come first, something changes. We approach more, not because we were trained, but because we feel safe enough to choose you. 3, we notice when you come down to our level most of the time. You exist above us. You move quickly. You stand tall. You reach down, and from our perspective, that can feel overwhelming because animals often interpret size and height as signals of dominance or unpredictability. But when you lower yourself, something changes. Example, you sit on the floor, not calling us, not reaching, just being there. And in many cases, we respond differently. We relax, we observe less, we approach more. Because now, you're not something we have to monitor. You're part of our space. And sometimes that simple shift does more than anything else. 4, we need to understand you before you touch us. You reach out and go straight to contact and to you. that feels natural. But from our perspective, something is missing because we don't begin with touch, we begin with scent. According to research, cats rely heavily on smell to interpret safety and familiarity, which means those first few seconds matter more than you think. Fun fact, cats have over 200 million scent receptors, far more than humans, which means we are reading information you don't even realize you're giving. Example, when you extend your hand and let us come closer, we gather information, we decide, we choose, and if we lean in, that's not random. That's permission. But when that step is skipped, the interaction changes. And in many cases, it feels less safe, even if your intention was gentle. And this is where many people start to realize it's not about doing more, it's about doing it differently. 5, we rely on patterns more than you realize. You look at time, we experience patterns. You feed us, play with us, sit down at slightly different times. And to you, that feels normal. But from our perspective, those small shifts matter. According to studies on feline behavior, unpredictable routines can increase stress levels, which suggest consistency plays a bigger role than most people realize. Example, when your habits repeat, we build a map of our environment, and that map creates safety. But when that pattern breaks, even slightly, something feels off. And in many cases, that uncertainty keeps us alert instead of relaxed. 6, we've been talking to you more than you think. You hear us meow and sometimes respond, sometimes not. And in many cases, it feels like just sound. But here's something most people don't realize. Adult cats don't usually meow to each other. This behavior developed mainly for communicating with humans, which means what you hear is something we shaped for you. According to research, cats can develop unique vocal patterns specific to their human, which suggests this is not random, it's adaptation. Example, we greet you, call you, follow you, make sounds throughout the day. And often, we're not asking for something specific, we're just communicating. But when there's no response over time, that communication changes, becomes quieter, less frequent, not because it stopped, but because it wasn't received. And this is the part most people miss. In many cases, we didn't stop needing connection. We just stopped believing it would happen. So if you've ever felt like something between us was missing, it may not be because you didn't care. It may be because some of the things we needed were too quiet to notice. We don't always ask loudly. We don't always repeat ourselves. And in many cases, when something is missed, we don't push harder. We simply adapt, and slowly we ask less. You might call it independence. But in many cases, it may actually be a version of us learning how much of ourselves still feels safe to show around you. If you're starting to see us a little differently now, then maybe we've been heard just enough this time